This is a video on the new 2021 BC-35. The BC-35 is a larger version of the BC-25. It has all the exact same features. There are some new things in the 2021 models, most you can't see, and one of the big ones you can see is not actually on the roaster at the moment, and that's the addition of an optional cooling tray cover, which will splice in a picture of that so you can see it. We just don't have it on for this video right now. Pretty much everything else is standard. We do have new thermocouples, 3mm thick thermocouples to increase the sensitivity and the quicker exchange of data information. Other than that, there is a new chaff fan system, a much more heavy-duty chaff fan system that's on the 2021 models from the BC-8 up to the BC BC-135. But anyway, just in case you're new to roasting with the BC, it does allow data logging via Artisan, which is the one we highly recommend. You can also access it through the premium version of Cropster, which is a pay-per-use program. The BCs allow you to connect via USB or Bluetooth if your computer allows that. Just to give you a little information on the Artisan, once you've installed it on your computer and installed the driver, and you can turn on your machine, and to set up the I'll turn it off for a second. To set up your Artisan, you can go to the top where it says config, and you click on config, and you go down to the first line, which is machine. Then you scroll over on machine, if I can do it with my finger, to BC roasters is the third one down, and then it'll ask you, do you want to config, and you say yes, and then after it configs it, it brings up the COM port, and you need to check to make sure you got the right COM port. If you look on that, you'll see it wasn't actually on the right COM port. The right COM port when you're using a Mac is the CP210-2 bridge controller, which is only viewable on a Mac. For some reason Windows doesn't allow you to see that. And then you can click OK. Then you can open this up to a big screen. And now when you turn on the roaster, you should be able to see the correct temperatures of what the roaster is on the right hand side. So we're going to turn that on, and when you hit the on button, you'll see that it says 95 on the BT and 98 on the ET, which if you can see that in the screen, that is exactly correct, which means that your system is connected to Artisan and ready to work with Artisan. For those of you not used to using a BC roaster or that haven't watched a video on the BC-8 and up, this is your control panel. On top is your timer. Then you've got the two Omron digital controls that allow you to view on screen your ET and BT, or on the computer or on the roaster without having to have a computer attached. You've got your power button. You've got your igniter, also called roasting button. This turns on and off the timer. There's a reset button here that resets. This is for the cooling, for turning on the cooling fan on the cooling tray, and this is the mixing arms. On the back of the roaster is a valve like this, not with the fancy handle, but just like that otherwise, that you turn on for the igniter, as you always ignite the roaster, which ignites one burner on the roaster. And by the way, these have 55 burners, so serious roasting capacity. And then you slowly turn on your valve in the front. And so if you can see here, it says stop. Do not turn on gas valve until pilot light is lit. And you may not be able to see that with the view. Maybe you can see that now. And we'll take you to the back to show you the controls on the back. But basically, when you're ready to roast for the day, you want to make sure your igniter is turned on in the back by turning the valve on completely. And then you'll be ready to start your roaster using the roasting or the igniter button, which will in turn light that single burner. And then you turn on this valve to ignite all the others. And we'll show you that in a video as well. Just before I go to the back to give you a little bit of another view, hopefully you can see up here, you've got your magnehelic gauge on the left, and then on the right you have your manual dial damper, which if you've watched any of our videos since 2018, this controls the airflow, allowing airflow to enter, and then your magnehelic gauge will monitor the actual airflow going through the roaster. Here is your burner room viewing window, and here is your debris tray. All drum roasters have to have a minimal amount of space, usually 2 to 3 millimeters between the front plate and the drum, so that when heat expands the drum, it won't rub against the front plate. And because of that, you're going to get a little bit of debris build up in this. And that should be emptied after every roast. Just takes a minute to pop it out and empty it, or you can suck it out with the chaff, with a shop vac, providing it's not hot. Coming around to the front of the roaster, you've got a pretty huge cooling tray, and we'll show you the mixing arms in a moment, but here's your weighted drum door, which you open and allows to stay open when you're releasing the beans into the drum, as well as when you're cooling the machine at the end of the day, which is vital that you remember to cool the machine for 45 minutes or so with the drum door open, the hopper open, and then the fan on full speed. You also got a substantially large trier spoon that allows you to check your roast, and you've got a really nice system here on the mixing arms, which I'll show you. Plus you've got a light to view the roast as well while you're roasting. So if you're able to view here, you got a really nice setup with the cooling tray mixing arms, so it really cools down the beans really fast. Looking down at the back of the bottom of the roaster, you can see the vent for it, which I believe is a 6-inch vent. You can check the stat sheet on that for the cooling tray. And then you've got a really large chaff unit that allows you to do lots of roasts, and a really nice new fan system, which let me point out to you. So this is the new Chaff Fan System that's available on the 2021 BC 8 through 35s, and a similar version all the way up to the 135 model. But it's one nice thing about it is it has a very thick steel squirrel cage, so it doesn't need removed and cleaned monthly like the other fans did. You do need to clean it, you need to check it every few weeks, but it doesn't have to be checked every day after roasting, and you don't have to take the squirrel cage out and clean it every month. But it should still be inspected and cleaned regularly as part of your maintenance. Looking at the back, you've got your solenoid here, which goes into the gas line. You've got your pilot light, which you turn counterclockwise, as you can see from the gauge here, to turn it on. And then when you're done roasting it at the end of the day, you can turn that off. Then up here is a notice just to remind you, which is also in the manuals, that if for some reason the power were to go off, you need to wait 10 seconds to restart the roaster, because there's a protective feature built into the converter that converts a 3-phase motor on the drum motor, which allows for drum speed control. And by having that kickoff valve that allows it to turn off for 10 seconds. It resets and protects it from any damage. Then you've got your chaff fan connector right here, and if you want to clean out your chaff fan without turning off the roaster, which I highly recommend, you press the button to turn off the chaff fan, let it come to a complete stop, and then you've got a door down here at the bottom you can open and suck it out with the chaff vac or sweep it out with a small hand broom, and then turn your power back on. And you don't want to turn that off in the middle of a roast, obviously, but in between roasts, when the gas is not on and when the flame is not on your roaster, you can take 60 seconds to clean your chaff unit out. This is the drum speed control, which, because it's such a large motor that powers these roasters, we want to be able to control the speed of the drum, we use a 3-phase motor, as I mentioned, for the drum to turn the drum and also to allow drum speed control. And so most people keep it somewhere between 7 and 8.5. I'm more between about 7.5 and 8.5 for roasting most beans, but that's all part of the art. And then this is the little cooling fan that keeps, while you're roasting and when you're cooling the machine at the end of the night, it keeps cool air in the electric room, which is what this is. This is where all your electronic components are found for the roaster, most of them. And one last thing I forgot to mention is if you see that little cord coming out, that's the USB plug if you don't want to use Bluetooth, or if you don't have Bluetooth capability on your computer, you can just plug in a USB to use Artisan or Cropster.